folks, welcome to Studio Spaces with Dan Carrillo and Todd Waller here at Studio 48 at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Snyder and Company. A little bit different format here. You're seeing three faces on today's Zoom recorded phone call, video conferencing call. This is Mark Kepf with University Bank in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We're talking with Mark because he is the small business loan guy at University. And a lot of folks that the studio interacts with are either employed at a small business or themselves are small business owners. And one of the things that we're looking at here in this new time of the COVID-19 pandemic that's going through is there might be some small businesses that need to know where resources are at. And so Mark, just kind of with that lead in, wanted to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. And then let's start talking about what are some first steps for small business owners to take at this point in time if they think they may need some assistance?
Yeah, thanks, Todd. As you said, I'm the small business banking officer here, or one of the small business banking officers here at University Bank, with my focus over the last several years being on lines of credit, working capital, SBA lending, equipment financing, things of that nature, as well as real estate. And so, we're running into the same issues just as quickly as all of our small business friends are as well, with this just being an unprecedented time. Things evolving each day with what's available, with the resources that are out there. And so, like you said, we want to assist and help as best we can to our current borrowers and to all the other small business owners in our area, so that when we get to the other side of this, we're just as strong, if not stronger. So to your question, some of the first things that when we're talking to our borrowers, we're asking, have you been affected or impacted already by COVID-19? And with most folks, it's yes, because whether your business has been forced to limit operations or close operations, even if you've not been forced to do that, people aren't going out with a stay-at-home order, and so you are being affected. And so one of the things that we can't stress enough is talk to your local bank, your banker, whoever you have a relationship with, early and often, and let them know what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, and what you need right now. It's in your bank's best interest to work with you and try to help find a solution for you. Obviously, this is a little different than like an economic slowdown. This has kind of been a forced economic halt, and so there's a lot of options out there. But we're stressing, don't wait until it's panic mode. Yep. And you're scrambling. Reach out early and often. And then the other thing, if you've not been impacted too severely yet, start planning ahead with, what if this lasts for a month, 2 months, 3 months? What do we have in place? What are our options going to be if this prolongs? Having a plan in place, A, it's going to help have a seamless process going through that, but B, you're going to find out a lot about your business, and you're really, in a time like this, you're going to see where you can cut back, where you have opportunities, where you maybe can shift some of your operations to be better suited going forward as well. So it really is a good time to, stay connected with your bank or anybody that the partners that you work with, and then, really do a self-appraisal of your business and how you can better suit yourself going forward.
So excellent summary, I would argue, about where do we stand and what are some important questions up front to triage if immediate funds are needed or immediate assistance is needed versus, well, I might need stuff down the road. So let's kind of walk a little bit down that path. A small business owner has determined, I actually need to go down this path and look for either a small business loan or at least begin the talking process with a small business loan advisor to say, what are my best options? What kind of information are you looking for when somebody approaches you? Like, what kind of financials are they going to need to present to you? What are some, like, in that bare bones box of stuff that they bring to you to help you make a determination? What do we need to put in that box?
Yeah. So what we want to see is, your most recent tax return. And I know a lot of folks don't have 19s done. So if you have company prepared financials, and if you have a year to date, that's all going to be helpful. We're going to look for the personal financial statements of the owners of the small business. Just try to get an overall look at how the business looks, and how able are the owners able to maybe inject some funds or support the business as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then also projections. What does it look like going forward the next 3 to 6 months? What are you thinking? The
Sure.
last, like we said, this has kind of been like a forced halt. I think the last option you want to go with is taking on additional debt to get through this time, if there's other options available. And also, you don't want to take on, if debt is the option, you don't want to take on more than what you need, because you have to, with banks, it's got to have to be repaid. So we're looking at, do the borrowers, owners, have any source of capital that they can inject? It's a lot easier for an owner to pay himself back when they have a good quarter or a good month, rather than, having that set monthly payment, whether things are going well or bad with the bank. And so those are things to really consider. But the projections are going to be big, because you really want to know, where do you think your operations are going to be at over the next 3 to 6 months? And your bank wants to know that you're putting in the effort as well to see this through, that you're serious about it. And so then back to, what's available out there. There's a lot of resources that are coming out, and every day they're changing. With the stimulus package that's set to be voted on today, there's a lot of good stuff in that. The MEDC's got some grants and some loans that are going to be available. I think beginning April 1st is what their target is.
Okay.
And these economic disaster loans with the SBA, those are another great option as well. But again, just having those conversations with those you're involved with, and figuring out what the best course of action for you is.
See, and Mark, what I'd love to be able to do is point out that University Bank is a parent, I think, to University Lending, if that's the correct way to describe the relationship. University Lending does a fair amount of residential real estate mortgages. And the thing that I have appreciated over the years in working with a lender from University Lending Group is ULG's or University Bank's approach. It's not to create a product that necessarily university gets paid from. So folks watching this, if you just listen to what Mark said about small business financing and potentially loans, he couched everything by saying, let's take a look first to see if there are other avenues before you take on more debt. You know what? They get paid, of course, if you take on a loan from them, no question about that. But what Mark just pointed out, I think, is very, very key. It doesn't make sense to pull on more debt if you don't need it. And that's what we're looking for in trusted advisors, folks like Mark and the folks at university, that, hey, let's assess the picture and let's see where the avenues are that makes most sense for your particular scenario here, which again, it rhymes with how Studio 48, myself and Dan and the partner Sarah and Jeffrey practice. What's the best case scenario for our clients? What is our role in advising folks at this point in time with the best information possible to make the best decision possible? So I really appreciate hearing that, Mark, that up front, the conversation is what makes most sense. Where are we and what are the goals and how do we get there? And the first answer is not, let's introduce a new mortgage, new debt into the scenario. I think that's spectacular.
Yeah, it's kind of what we operate on is, do we like making loans? Yes. But does it always make sense? No. And what's best for the small businesses in our community is ultimately what's best for us, whether whether that results in us closing a deal or not. We're a community bank because we want to see the growth and the success in our community. So
absolutely.
you hit the nail on the head. So.
Well, you guys make it easy. You really do with how you operate, and I appreciate that. I know my clients have appreciated that over the years as well. So kudos to y'all. For folks that are watching, there will be a download to go along with this. So if you are yourself a small business owner, or you work for a small business and you hear that they might be looking for answers, there's going to be a download here on things that talking with any small business loan officer, you're going to want to be prepared for. So we'll have some downloads for you there. Mark will also be providing some information from the MEDC. Before we started recording, Mark, you made a comment that's still sticking around the back of my head here. And you mentioned it briefly. I just want to get it more fully fleshed out here, I think. In talking about opportunities or solutions for small business owners right now when it comes to financing, or at least making sure that bills can be met, you mentioned that maybe for those folks that are currently in the pipeline going for a small business loan, they may not want to close just yet, given some of the disaster relief that's coming out. Just go ahead and speak a moment, if you would, to what we know today. Friday, March 27th is coming down the pipe. Are there scenarios where it makes sense to kind of hold off?
Yeah. So, we want to avoid any knee-jerk reactions to this. And a lot of folks, their first thought is, okay, I have to get something in place immediately. And for some folks, yes, 100%, they need to get something going. For other folks, it's good to, if you have the availability, to hold back for a week or two, just kind of see what gets rolled out. This is, I think, the third stimulus kind of plan being put in place today. And each one has had different aspects for small business included. The one that's expected to be approved today, that's going to be the best option, I think, for small business owners that do need some capital, because it's being talked that those loans can be forgiven. No upfront guarantee costs with the SBA. The turnaround time should be quick, and 100% SBA guarantees on those, which is going to really entice banks to be active and to be helping out, because the risk mitigation is there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, obviously, that's going to be the cheapest option for loan or for small businesses.
Sure.
And give the most forgiveness on the backside of that too, to help them to keep going and maybe not strap them down with debt moving forward that they're going to have to pay. Again, we've touched on the SBA economic disaster loans, but those are out there. Those are taking, everything I hear. I think they're just going to be bogged down at the SBA level with the applications on those. But we encourage everybody, if you think there's a need for that, start the application process now and early. You don't have to take the funds on that, but if you're approved and when you need them, you can take them. Then that's good. Nice. We touched on the MEDC grants. Those are going to be up to $10,000 per small business. And then they also have a loan aspect of that as well, with it's only for 5 years, and then a 5-year repayment after that with the low interest rate. And again, talk to your bank, because there are payment interest, interest only options out there that your bank, like I said, your bank's best interest is to work with you through this to get. So there are a lot, everything's changing daily. So stay up to date on it. We'll give as much information as we can, and definitely, like you said, don't rush into anything if you don't have to. Do get a plan in place so that you know which way you want to go.
Absolutely. Hey, Mark, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate your time this morning. I know you're holding down the office for a bit there today, so I greatly appreciate taking a little bit of time out of your day today to kind of learn us, if you will, about first steps for small business owners if they think that they might be in a pinch. And again, we'll have some downloads here, and we're going to get some contact information out there as well, not just on the downloads, but for folks to be able to reach out to you, Mark, and ask you direct questions. With that, Dan, anything else to throw in here?
I don't think we do today.
Okay.
Like you said, we're going to have Mark's contact information. If you've got any questions, call him, throw something down in the comments. We'll be back with studio spaces for you next week, probably in this same format.
Absolutely. Okay.
Until that time, you have any questions for him or for us?
You got it. Excellent. Mark, thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you again, Mark.
Here.
All righty.